An artificial intelligence system rejects your loan application and gives you no reason. A hiring algorithm systematically disadvantages women. A government deploys a facial recognition tool that works well overall but has a 12% error rate for elderly citizens, and the government calls that acceptable. Are these acceptable? More importantly, which responsible AI principle does each one violate? That is exactly what the AI-900 exam will ask you. In this video, part 6 of 10, we go deep on all 6 Microsoft responsible artificial intelligence principles. Not just definitions, but the harder skill of correctly identifying which principle applies when 2 of them look similar, and which one is primary when a scenario touches more than one. Question 10 is the most analytically demanding question in the entire series. Let's see how you do. Welcome back to Skills on Cloud. Part 6 of 10, and as promised, this one is different. We are leaving the individual Azure services behind and going into the principles that underpin everything Microsoft builds with artificial intelligence. Subscribe and hit the bell so the final 4 parts of this series drop straight into your feed. Let's go. A quick orientation before we start. Responsible artificial intelligence is not isolated to a single domain on the AI-900 exam. It appears across all domains, and questions can arise in any section. Microsoft defines 6 core responsible AI principles. Fairness, ensuring AI treats all people equitably without discrimination. Reliability and safety, ensuring AI performs correctly and does not cause harm. Privacy and security, ensuring personal data is handled responsibly and with consent. Inclusiveness, ensuring AI benefits and is accessible to all people. Transparency, ensuring AI decisions can be understood and explained. And accountability, ensuring humans remain responsible for AI outcomes. Today's questions test not just whether you know these definitions, but whether you can apply them correctly when scenarios are ambiguous, when 2 principles overlap, or when the exam deliberately includes high overall accuracy numbers to distract you from a fairness violation. Let's start. Question 1 of 10. A recruitment platform uses an artificial intelligence model to screen job applications. An audit reveals that the model consistently ranks applications from women lower than applications from men with equivalent qualifications. Which Microsoft responsible artificial intelligence principle is most clearly being violated? Option A, reliability and safety. Option B, fairness. Option C, privacy and security. Option D, inclusiveness. Take a moment to think. The correct answer is B, fairness. The fairness principle requires that artificial intelligence systems treat all individuals equitably and do not produce discriminatory outcomes based on personal characteristics such as gender, race, age, or disability. A model that systematically ranks women lower than equivalently qualified men is producing biased, discriminatory outcomes, which is a direct violation of fairness. Reliability and safety concerns consistent. Error-free performance across all users, but does not specifically address discriminatory differential outcomes between groups. Privacy and security concerns data handling and protection. Inclusiveness focuses on ensuring all people can access and benefit from artificial intelligence systems. Key memory trigger. Artificial intelligence producing systematically different outcomes for different demographic groups equals fairness violation. Question 2 of 10. A hospital deploys an artificial intelligence model to recommend medication dosages for intensive care patients. During a software update, a bug causes the model to recommend overdoses for a subset of patients before the error is detected. Which responsible artificial intelligence principle is most at risk? Option A, transparency. Option B, fairness. Option C, reliability and safety. Option D, accountability. Consider what the primary concern is in this scenario. The correct answer is C, reliability and safety. The reliability and safety principle requires that artificial intelligence systems perform consistently and correctly across all conditions, including edge cases and updates, and that they do not cause physical, financial, or psychological harm. A dosage recommendation model producing overdose recommendations due to a bug is failing on both reliability because it is not performing correctly and safety because incorrect medical dosages can cause direct patient harm. Transparency relates to explainability. Fairness relates to equitable treatment across groups. Accountability relates to human oversight and responsibility. Key trigger: artificial intelligence producing incorrect outputs that cause direct physical harm equals reliability and safety violation. Question 3 of 10. An artificial intelligence system used for personalized advertising stores detailed profiles of users' browsing behavior, purchase history, location data, and inferred health conditions without users' knowledge or consent, and without any mechanism for users to access or delete their data. Which responsible artificial intelligence principle is most clearly being violated? Option A, fairness. Option B, inclusiveness. Option C, transparency. Option D, privacy and security. Think about which principle governs data handling and user consent. The correct answer is D, privacy and security. The privacy and security principle requires that artificial intelligence systems collect, store, and use personal data responsibly, with appropriate consent and transparency about data practices, and that users have control over their own data. Storing sensitive personal data, including inferred health conditions without consent, and denying users access or deletion rights, is a direct violation of this principle. Fairness relates to discriminatory outcomes. Inclusiveness concerns access and benefit for all people. Transparency concerns the explainability of decisions, not specifically data handling practices, though the two can overlap. Key trigger: collecting or using personal data without consent or user control equals privacy and security violation. Question 4 of 10. A government agency deploys a voice-only artificial intelligence kiosk for citizens to access public services. The kiosk has no screen, no text input option, and no alternative access method. Citizens who are deaf or hard of hearing are entirely unable to use the service. Which responsible artificial intelligence principle is most clearly being violated? Option A, reliability and safety. Option B, transparency. Option C, inclusiveness. Option D, accountability. Think about who is being excluded and why. The correct answer is C, inclusiveness. The inclusiveness principle requires that artificial intelligence systems are designed to benefit all people, including those with disabilities, and that they do not exclude or marginalize individuals based on their abilities, background, or circumstances. A voice-only kiosk that provides no alternative access method for deaf or hard-of-hearing citizens is directly excluding a group of people from accessing a public service, which is a textbook inclusiveness violation. Reliability and safety concerns safe performance. Transparency concerns explainability. Accountability concerns human oversight. Key trigger: artificial intelligence that excludes a group of people from access due to design choices equals inclusiveness violation. Question 5 of 10. A bank uses an artificial intelligence model to make credit lending decisions. Applicants who are denied credit are not told why they were rejected. The model's criteria are not published, and there is no mechanism for applicants to understand or challenge the decision. Which responsible artificial intelligence principle is most at risk? Option A, fairness. Option B, transparency. Option C, privacy and security. Option D, inclusiveness. Consider what the core issue is in this scenario. The correct answer is B, transparency. The transparency principle requires that artificial intelligence systems and their decision-making processes are understandable to stakeholders, and that people affected by artificial intelligence decisions can access an explanation of how and why a decision was made. Denying credit applicants any explanation, concealing the model's decision criteria, and providing no challenge mechanism are all transparency failures. Fairness would be relevant if there were evidence of discriminatory outcomes across groups, but the scenario does not describe that. Privacy and security concerns data handling. Inclusiveness concerns accessibility. Key memory trigger: artificial intelligence making decisions that people cannot understand, see, or challenge equals transparency violation. 5 down. Drop your score in the comments right now. 0 to 5. All scores welcome. Now a heads up. The next 5 questions are harder than the first 5. Questions 7 and 8 deliberately put 2 principles in the same scenario and ask you to identify the primary one. That is where most candidates lose marks on this topic. If you got the first 5 right by matching keywords, the second half will test whether you truly understand the difference. Let's keep going. Question 6 of 10. A technology company deploys an autonomous artificial intelligence system that makes financial trading decisions entirely without human oversight. When the system makes a series of trades that cause significant financial losses for clients, the company states that because the decisions were made fully autonomously by the artificial intelligence, no individual or team can be held responsible. Which responsible artificial intelligence principle does this scenario most clearly violate? Option A, reliability and safety. Option B, fairness. Option C, accountability. Option D, transparency. Think about the specific issue of human responsibility for artificial intelligence outcomes. The correct answer is C, accountability. The accountability principle requires that the people and organizations who design, deploy, and operate artificial intelligence systems remain responsible and answerable for the outcomes those systems produce. Artificial intelligence autonomy does not eliminate human accountability. The companies claim that no one can be held responsible because the AI made the decision is a direct violation of the accountability principle. Reliability and safety relates to consistent and harm-free performance. Fairness relates to discriminatory outcomes. Transparency relates to explainability. Key memory trigger, humans or organizations claiming no responsibility because the AI made the decision equals accountability violation. Question 7 of 10, and this is where the questions get harder. An artificial intelligence-powered hiring tool is found to perform significantly less accurately for candidates who submit applications written in English as a second language, leading to those candidates being unfairly rejected at a higher rate. A colleague argues this is an inclusiveness issue. Another argues it is a fairness issue. Which statement best resolves this? Option A, it is exclusively an inclusiveness issue because the tool fails to support non-native speakers. Option B, it is exclusively a fairness issue because candidates with equivalent skills are receiving different outcomes. Option C, it is primarily a fairness issue because the model produces discriminatory differential outcomes based on a personal characteristic, namely language background, but it also has elements of inclusiveness because the design fails to accommodate a segment of the population. Option D, neither principle applies because the tool is working as designed. Consider how fairness and inclusiveness differ and where they overlap. The correct answer is C. This is a deliberate overlap question. Fairness is the primary violation because the model produces differential and discriminatory outcomes, different reject rates, for candidates based on a personal characteristic, which is their language background. However, inclusiveness is also implicated because the design of the system fails to accommodate people from non-English speaking backgrounds, effectively marginalizing them. The exam sometimes presents scenarios where 2 principles overlap. In those cases, you must identify the primary principle based on the dominant harm described. Here the dominant harm is discriminatory differential outcomes, which maps most directly to fairness. Key trigger, when the harm is a worse outcome for a group based on who they are, fairness is primary. When the harm is being excluded from access or benefit, inclusiveness is primary. Question 8 of 10. An artificial intelligence system is used to allocate social welfare payments. When a citizen's payment is incorrectly stopped, they receive no explanation, no appeal process, and the government department responsible states that its data scientists have left the organization and no one currently understands how the model makes decisions. Which 2 principles are most clearly violated and which is primary? Option A, fairness is primary, with reliability and safety secondary. Option B, transparency is primary because the model's decisions cannot be understood or explained, with accountability secondary because the organization has failed to maintain oversight and understanding of its own system. Option C, privacy and security is primary, with inclusiveness secondary. Option D, accountability is primary, with fairness secondary. This question requires you to identify the most prominent violation and rank it against a secondary one. The correct answer is B. Two principles are in play. Transparency is violated because the affected citizen receives no explanation of the decision and no appeal mechanism, and even the organization itself cannot explain how the model works. Accountability is violated because the organization has failed to maintain human oversight and understanding of its system. No one in the organization currently understands the model, which means the human accountability chain has broken down. Transparency is the primary violation here because the harm experienced by the citizen, no explanation and no appeal, is directly a transparency failure. Accountability explains how the organization allowed that situation to arise. Key trigger: when the citizen cannot understand the decision, transparency is primary. When the organization cannot or will not be answerable, accountability is the companion violation. Question 9 of 10. Match each scenario to the responsible artificial intelligence principle it most directly violates. Scenario 1. An artificial intelligence model flags loan applicants from certain postcodes as high risk without any evidence that postcode is a legitimate risk predictor, resulting in higher rejection rates for minority communities. Scenario 2. A company uses an artificial intelligence tool to analyze employee emails and calendar data to measure productivity without informing employees. Scenario 3. An artificial intelligence navigation app provides turn-by-turn voice guidance only, with no visual alternative, making it unusable for deaf users. Scenario 4. An autonomous drone delivery system malfunctions and drops packages on pedestrians, and the manufacturer insists its engineers bear no responsibility because the drone acted autonomously. Which option correctly matches all four scenarios to their primary violated principles? Option A. Fairness, privacy and security, inclusiveness, accountability. Option B. Accountability, transparency, fairness, reliability and safety. Option C. Transparency, fairness, reliability and safety, inclusiveness. Option D. Fairness, inclusiveness, transparency, accountability. Take your time working through each one individually. The correct answer is A. Scenario 1. Rejecting applicants based on postcode as a proxy for race, producing higher rejection rates for minority communities, is a fairness violation because it produces discriminatory differential outcomes. Scenario 2. Analyzing employee communications without their knowledge is a privacy and security violation because personal data is being used without consent or transparency. Scenario 3. A navigation app with no visual alternative that excludes deaf users is an inclusiveness violation because the design excludes a group based on ability. Scenario 4. A manufacturer denying its engineers bear any responsibility for autonomous system harm is an accountability violation. Key trigger: work through each scenario independently and map it to the principle that owns that type of harm. Question 10 of 10, the trickiest question in the set, so read every word of the scenario very carefully before selecting. A smart city government deploys an artificial intelligence system to manage public services. The following four situations arise. Situation 1. The facial recognition system used to grant building access has a 12% error rate for elderly citizens compared to a 2% error rate for younger adults, but the government states the overall system accuracy of 94% is acceptable. Situation 2. Citizens can view a plain language explanation of any decision the system has made about them and can submit a formal challenge through an independent review panel. Situation 3. The system automatically shares anonymized aggregated usage data with approved third-party researchers under a published data governance framework. Situation 4. The AI system that manages traffic light sequencing has never been tested under extreme weather conditions, and during a severe storm it causes a series of accidents by misrouting emergency vehicles. Which of the following correctly identifies the principal status for each situation? Option A. Situation 1 violates fairness. Situation 2 upholds transparency. Situation 3 upholds privacy and security. Situation 4 violates reliability and safety. Option B. Situation 1 violates reliability and safety. Situation 2 upholds accountability. Situation 3 violates privacy and security. Situation 4 violates fairness. Option C. Situation 1 violates inclusiveness. Situation 2 upholds fairness. Situation 3 upholds transparency. Situation 4 violates accountability. Option D. Situation 1 upholds fairness because overall accuracy is 94%. Situation 2 violates transparency. Situation 3 violates privacy and security. Situation 4 violates reliability and safety. Now here is where this question becomes a trap. The key pivot is Situation 1. The government is arguing that 94% overall accuracy makes the system acceptable. But this is a fairness violation, not a reliability and safety violation, and definitely not acceptable just because the overall number looks good.
Why?
Because the error rate is 12% for elderly citizens versus 2% for younger adults. That differential outcome based on a personal characteristic, namely age, is a fairness violation regardless of the overall accuracy headline. This is a known exam trap. High overall accuracy masking discriminatory differential performance across groups. Situation 2 correctly describes transparency, not accountability. Appeals and plain language explanations are transparency mechanisms. Situation 3 correctly upholds privacy and security because data sharing is anonymized and governed by a published framework with consent. Situation 4 describes a system causing physical harm through untested edge case failure, which is reliability and safety. The correct answer is therefore A. How did that feel? Responsible AI questions are genuinely harder than service selection questions because the answers are not in the product documentation. They are in your ability to reason about harm, bias, and accountability under exam pressure. If you got question 10 right, especially the 94% accuracy trap in Situation 1, that is a real marker of exam readiness. Post your score out of 10 in the comments. I read all of them. Coming up in Part 7, we shift into Azure AI services. That includes Azure Cognitive Services, Azure Applied AI Services, and Azure OpenAI. This is one of the most rapidly evolving areas of the exam, and Part 7 will give you the current service landscape and the scenario-based questions Microsoft is using to test it. Subscribe now. The countdown is on your screen. See you in Part 7.